All right, today we are diving into the story of an artist who was, well, a total phenomenon. Richard Parkes Bonington. You know, his career was like a shooting star, just this brilliant, dazzling flash that lit up the entire art world and then, poof, he was gone. But the impact he left behind, it's still with us today.
Get this. Bonington died when he was only 25. 25! And yet, his work stands shoulder to shoulder with artists who had decades to perfect their craft. So that really brings us to the central question of this whole explainer. How can a life that short leave a legacy that's so incredibly long? Well, let's figure it out.
So, our story really kicks off with a move that changed, well, everything. See, Bonington was born in England, but he was an artist forged in France through and through. When his family packed up and moved across the Channel, they didn't just move to a new country. They put him right in the middle of a full-blown artistic revolution.
So picture this. He's born in England in 1802, but as a teenager, his family moves to France, and this was the game changer. I mean, by 1820, he was already training in the super prestigious Paris studio of Baron Gros, one of the masters of the time. He was just soaking up everything that incredible city had to offer. And you know, once he was in Paris, Bonington didn't just learn the rules of art, he pretty much started rewriting them. He came up with this completely new way of seeing the world, and along with it, a totally fresh technique for getting that vision down on canvas.
Okay, to really get Bonington, you have to understand the world he was in. And that means understanding Romanticism. It was this massive artistic movement that basically said enough with the cold, logical perfection of the old days. Instead, it was all about celebrating raw emotion, the power and wildness of nature, and, the inner world of the individual. It was about feeling things, not just thinking about them.
And believe me, this was a radical shift. The style that was everywhere at the time, neoclassicism, was all about order, logic, super rigid technique. Bonington, on the other hand, just dove headfirst into Romanticism. He was all about that raw emotion, the power of nature, and his style reflected that. It was fluid, it was spontaneous, and it was absolutely flooded with light.
So what was Bonington's secret sauce? Well, his big breakthrough was combining two really powerful things. He took the fluid, almost transparent style of English watercolor painting and mashed it up with the emotional gut punch of French Romanticism. The result? It was electric, and it was a style that was 100% his.
So where did he apply this genius? Well, his work really blossomed across two major themes. First, the just breathtaking beauty of the natural world, and second, those dramatic, sometimes tragic, moments from history.
Okay, let's start with his landscapes. He was an absolute master of the coast. Seriously, when you look at his seascapes, you don't just see a beach. You can almost feel the damp air on your skin. You see the light shimmering on the wet sand. You really get a sense of the vastness of the sky. He wasn't just painting a place, he was painting the feeling of the place, the whole atmosphere.
And then you have his historical scenes. Now, where older painters would give you these stoic, almost godlike heroes, Bonington gave you people, real people. He filled these scenes from the past with this sense of genuine human drama, intimacy, and emotion. He made history feel like it was happening right now, right in front of you.
But here's the thing. Bonington's influence didn't just stay inside his own picture frames. No way. He was more like a spark, a catalyst. His fresh way of seeing and his incredible technique just lit a fire under his peers, especially his close friend, the legendary Romantic painter Eugène Delacroix. And people at the time knew he was something special. They absolutely recognized his talent. There's this great quote from a contemporary who said his talent was a meteor that lit up the sky of Romanticism. Think about that. He wasn't just another artist in the movement. For that short, brilliant time, you could argue he was the movement.
So let's just quickly run through his biggest hits, right? He pioneered these game-changing watercolor techniques. He inspired giants of the art world like Delacroix. He brought this incredible new freshness to landscape painting. And he fundamentally shifted the entire art world's focus from classical ideals to raw nature and emotion. Not bad, huh?
And this is where the story takes a turn. Because all this innovation, this influence, this sheer brilliance, it was all packed into a life that was just tragically, unbelievably short.
He died at the age of 25. I'm going to say that again. 25. Just let that sink in. At an age when most artists are still just trying to figure out who they are, just beginning to find their voice, Bonington had already changed the course of art history.
I mean, the scale of what he achieved in that short time is just staggering. He completely redefined watercolor painting. He became a leading figure of Romanticism. He was showing his work at the prestigious Paris Salon. And he influenced a whole generation of artists who came after him. It's just incredible.
And so you're left with this huge, unanswerable question. His legacy is immense, absolutely. But it's always going to be shadowed by the what if. If this is what he gave us by the time he was 25, just imagine what masterpiece he might have created next. What was lost? We'll never know, of course. But that trail of light he left behind, that shooting star, it's still lighting up the art world today.